Hello and welcome back to the Treasured Page Winter Swap. I'm Melanie and I'm here to tell you the February project that we're going to have a look at for our final swap of the winter swap. Oh my goodness, I can't believe we're here because we've got our latest project for February. So we are still working under the umbrella theme of Home and Hibernate, and we've been seeing lots of little houses. Certainly that's what I've been doing here, but that doesn't have to be. You can tap into the hibernate aspect of it. So whatever that means to you, whether you like to snuggle into your craft area with a hot drink and just craft away in these winter months, then perhaps you might want to reflect that. But it is really up to you how you decorate these. These are gorgeous. So this is where I'm at with mine. So if you have a look here, I have now got this signature that could potentially come and live in this journal here. So you can see that's how that all works. Really gorgeous, and it can have an elastic if you wanted to. If you've got a folio that you could do that and you feel that that would work with what you've received, then that's a lovely option. But these are great standalone pieces, a really lovely folio to treasure, and you can fill the pockets with other ephemera pieces that you want to keep, and just keep that handy. That could be something that you pull from when you're making your journals or when you're journaling. So they are just gorgeous, and they are lovely tactile things. So I hope that you're pleased with yours, and I hope that you have taken enough inspiration from everybody else that you could go away and make a similar project, one that would fit your mood and how you would like to have yours. So within the signatures that we've got, I've been decorating it up. You can see what I've been up to on the video, but we are still going to be working within the size of our signature for this project. So the project sizes need to be the 21 centimeters. So that is the 8.5 by the 4.25. So that's 11 centimeters across. So stick with those measurements if you've been working with that all the way along. Okay, for our February project, there are 3 parts. The first part is we're making a floating pocket. We're going to be embellishing a paperclip in the theme of a keychain, so it needs to be reminiscent of a keychain. And we're making a paper scrap pack sampler, so we can send some really nice fun papers to our swap partner, and they will be able to use that with their floating pocket and in their journal as they piecing it all together. So what they are given here is what they need to incorporate into the signature for the final project, and they will be doing that in March when they receive this. So the deadline is going to be the end of the month. That's the 28th. So February the 28th will be stop crafting and get that project out the door to be received the first week of March. Okay guys, so a quick explanation on a floating pocket. What is it? Well, it is something that travels with you as you work through your journal. So it works a bit like a bookmark. You can have it in your journal and you can attach it to the page with the paperclip, and you will be able to have the journaling cards for the week ahead if you want to use it that way. You can have your ephemera, your stickers, all the things that you might want to add to put on that page. It's just a place where you won't lose things. So it's a lovely thing to have. It's like a little folder that comes with you, but it doesn't open, it's a pocket. So it's usually a top loading, and you probably have a couple of other pockets on there as well. You can embellish this however you want. Obviously this is just a piece of folded paper. However, I have got something here that will demonstrate what I'm talking about. So we made these last year, and the idea or the challenge here is to keep the project extremely thin so that you are using material that is very thin. Here I have used book page. I've glued 6 sheets of book page together, and then I put glue down and put a napkin, a top layer of a napkin over everything. And what that did when it dried is it's created an incredibly thin but extremely strong piece of paper to now work with. And then I've made this, which was like that. So you could say that that's an envelope or a pouch, but without that top bit it could be a pocket. Now this was made for an A5 journal, so this one is too wide. We need to make them to fit into our journals, so it needs to be that size. So we would be trimming it down. So let's just bend it a little bit. It's quite flexible because of the glue. So there you can see that's how it could be decorated, because the tissue paper or the napkin that you would use would dictate the embellishment that's already on there. And it's really nice to see the book page behind. That's just an added detail which you could have fun with. The other material that you could look at is a sheer fabric. So I demonstrated this on an earlier video from the autumn swap, where I was given a sheer chiffon fabric, and I've done exactly the same thing. I've just glued it onto a book page, and that has resulted in an extremely thin but incredibly strong material, and it is quite pliable and flexible, and it's just lovely. So this is a really lovely idea. If you've got any sheer fabric, you can definitely paste it down over the top of some really kind of cool old vintage book, because you can see the text coming through. So that's lovely. And then what you would be doing is you want another piece of paper like that, and then that becomes your pocket. Okay, so you would just sew it on, glue it on, and then you've got a pocket. So you would go all the way round, and then you've got your top loading. It may be, because we're looking at sort of thin, skinny journals, it may be quite a good idea to think about a side loading one, something a bit different, have a thumb hole, and then they could get to all their ephemera in there. So I think that that would be quite good. So it could be sewn around all three sides and have an opening there or there. And then we're going to be making a paper clip with the theme of a keychain, so a key ring. What you might find on a key ring: I've got beads, I've got string, I've got a little bit of a fabric bead that I made. You can see that we've been making beads on this channel before, so we've been making paper beads, and then you can see all I did there was just wrap the fabric around my little bead by putting on some fabric glue. So we just wrap it round, just goes round once. It uses hardly any. That scrap would do probably 4 beads, so it just wraps round once, and give yourself a little fabric bead. So that's how we can achieve those. You could have several of those dangling off. Very, very straightforward, fun, and you just need something to wrap round. So an old paintbrush, perhaps, anything that you can get your hands on to create a bead. So there we go. So we're making one like that. Now, because we've got a month to make this project, you can have a play doing your paper beads and things like that. You could also maybe put a rust effect on some paper clips. If you would like to soak them in a salt and vinegar bath for a week, you would get this aged patina. If you want something quick, you can put them in the rust solution, and I've got a video for that that shows you how to make the rust recipe. And then finally, we've got this scrap pack that you can put together as a sampler piece, and you can add lots of nice papers that you're gifting to your swap partner so that they could use that in their signature to decorate up the pages. So if you've got any scraps, anything that you've been using, maybe you've been sent from others and you've used a bit and you're not going to use all of it, you could pass some of it on, because it's still within the theme of what we are dealing with now, which is Home and Hibernate for this last winter project. Okay, so I hope that that makes sense. So we are making one floating pocket, one keychain embellished paperclip to attach it to our journals with. That's gorgeous. And you've got to consider how you are going to make your material, whether it's going to be a sheer fabric, whether it's going to be napkin, whether it's going to be a tissue paper, whether it's going to be tea bag paper. Think of all those things of how you could make an incredibly thin floating pocket. So that's key. It's a thin floating pocket, a key chain paperclip, and a scrap pack sampler of paper. If you want to do one of fabric, you could do a separate one of fabric, but you need to have paper scraps being sent, because that's nice and thin. And then if you would like to send extras, by all means, but just limit it to one small bag of little bits and bobs that you're willing to send off to your partner, but do not overwhelm them with a lot. We have had people leave the group because it has been too much stuff coming their way. That becomes overwhelming if they haven't got a big crafting area, okay? So just be mindful of that when you're sending things out to people. Just double check, can they cope with a lot of stuff? Is that going to just get in their way and be overwhelming, particularly if it's things that they can't see what to do with? You know, if it's put out in a nice way like this, then you can see what you might want to do with it and be inspired. But we can be inspired by everything, so just be careful that you're not giving another person so much. It's like a big workload. That is almost sometimes how it feels. It could be a big workload that they're receiving of lots of things. Limit what you give people, because otherwise your parcels are going to get really expensive, and as kind as it is, sometimes it is overwhelming for people. This is a plain paper example of a little scrap tear sheet. This was sent to me last year by Katia, so this is another beautiful piece that she's made. This one is just plain paper for the purpose of taking notes. What we're sending is decorative papers, so things that are nice, little scraps of really nice things. So the really nice, the hoardy things. So see if you've got anything that you know, treasure. So have a look at what you've got. If you've got some very nice papers, or if you've got some decorative ephemera or anything that you could just send them a little scrap of. This is a really nice piece of rag paper, like rag from the 1800s. That's a nice newspaper piece, and that's a lovely printed Italian paper there. So if you've got some nice things like that, that's what I'm saying. Put the nice bits in here and arrange them so they're inspirational. It just needs to be a little snippet. So here's the projects. We're going to be making one floating pocket decorated any way you like, but the challenge here is to strengthen up your paper by using glue and potentially using something like a fine tissue paper, a napkin paper, or a very sheer fabric to give you an altered but strengthened material to work with. The challenge here is to keep the project thin. You can have it side loading, you can have it top loading, but the desired effect is that it's thin, that it maybe has a pocket on the front and then one at the side or the top, not both. Keep it thin, and then the idea is that it would move and travel through the journal with you, holding journaling cards, stickers, tickets and ephemera. And then to secure it somewhere in the journal, we're creating a altered paper clip. So you need to find a nice jumbo one, and off of that swing off some beads or some nice little things, charms, anything that you might have, any embellishments that could potentially look like a key ring. So it's a key ring, and that's going to go onto your floating pocket. Now we've already seen houses, but this then is a nod to the key in the door. So you could think along the idea of a doorway or an opening door. That's an idea. What you decorate your packaging paper or your book page in as your substrate could well be what determines the look or the feel of the project. So it could be the pattern on a napkin that you end up with. So this is one here. It's really thin, and we've just used book page there. And then the napkin has done the embellishment for us, and then all I've done is just added a little button. Well, that brings in bulk, so you might want to rethink that as an idea. But these things can move around any journal, so it doesn't have to stick with the project that we've been making. Then you've got your paper clip, which looks like a key ring, reminiscent of a key ring. I think they're going to be really fun. And then you will be sending off a scrap pack, and that needs to be your little art scraps, things that you would use, things that you would like to share, and things that someone could add to their journal, tear off a little bit and really enjoy embellishing a page which would enhance their journaling experience. So you might have some vintage pieces, you might have some decorative papers, or anything really treasured that you have. You could give them a little snippet if you so feel you could part with it. You could add fabric if you want to, or you could just keep this one for paper. So the minimum is one sampler, one floating pocket, and one little key ring inspired paperclip. Alright guys, so that's the project. I hope you have fun with that. I'll be putting out another video explaining it all and showing you what I do as we go forwards, but I just wanted to bring to you what we're doing for this month. I hope that makes sense. Do please ask any questions and we will figure it out together. Okay guys, so I hope you have fun with that. There's a few nice little things there. I love the paperclip idea. The scrap pack's going to of course be useful, and then this floating pocket idea is something to treasure, so really have a think about how you're going to decorate that up. Keep it within the theme of Home and Hibernate, whatever that means to you. Build in a pocket or two if you want to, but really make sure you explore the idea of this thin fabric using napkin, tissue paper, sheer chiffon fabric and your glues, and really see what you can come up with. So I do hope that you'll be able to use the skills that you've learnt here over this swap and take that forward into other journaling projects within your journaling journey. So it's been a pleasure. I hope that you've really enjoyed this winter swap. I would love to see you join again for the spring if you so wish, and I will be putting up details of how to do that in the next coming weeks. Okay guys, thank you so much, and above everything else, slow down and make crafting time for you. Bye bye now.